So the reason they do those ones like that is because when we have quadratic expressions, those ones with the squared terms, we have to solve them by factoring them out. You loved factoring. Click in the box for me there. And hit next. So, we're going to write our two sets of parentheses. It's going to be equal to 0 since we have equal 0 there, and we have to do that factoring thing. So factors of u squared. U and u, right? U times u is u squared. Then we said with our signs, if the end sign is positive, both of our signs have to be the same. The end sign is negative, we had one of each, right? So in this case, the end sign is positive. They're both going to be the same as the middle. So we know we're going to have a negative and a negative. We want the factors of the 21 that add up to the 10 in the middle. What times what is 21?
7 times 3.
7 times 3. And notice, if I do negative 7 plus negative 3, that adds up to negative 10, right? So now we've got it factored, so now we have a problem like this one. We still need to solve it and find which values here make this 0. You can probably look and see, but we're going to solve it anyway. We're going to say either the u minus 7 has to equal 0, or the u minus 3 has to equal 0. So if I'm going to solve the first one, all I'm going to do is
divide.
Not
Move
divide.
my 7 over
Move
to
my
0.
7. So I'm going to do what with my 7?
Take it over to negative 0.
So make it
Oh, positive.
positive 7. So u is equal to 7, right? Here I'm going to move my 3 over, right?
Yep.
Make it positive 3. U equals 3. So that if I put 7 in here, that makes this 0. If I put 3 in here, that makes that 0. That's what I'm trying to do. So u either equals 7 or 3 for my two answers. So number 5, again, we're set equal to 0. We have that quadratic expression. We're going to solve it by factoring. And so we're going to factor the v squared first. V squared. V and,
Minus v.
whoops.
Oh, what? Am I going to?
We're going to have v and v.
Yeah, b and v.
Now, looking at your signs, what are your signs going to be?
Or they're going to be positive.
They're both pluses, right? These are positive, so they're both going to be positive here. So we want the factors of 12 that are going to add up to the 8.
4 and 4. Oh, no.
Factors of 12. What times what is 12?
3 times 4.
3 times 4, that
2
adds
times
up to
6.
2 times 6. That adds up to 8. That's the pair I want, exactly. I still have to finish solving then. Once I've got it factored, I'm going to say either the v plus 2 equals 0 or the v plus 6 equals 0. And then I'm going to move my numbers over, right? So when I solve that first one, what am I going to do?
You're going to divide the 2.
Now, what were you going to say first?
Minus 2.
Minus the 2, because it's a plus 2. So v equals minus 2. And on the second one,
It's going to be negative 6.
it's going to be a negative 6. So v either could be negative 2 or negative 6. So number 6, again we've got it set equal to 0. We've got our quadratic expression, so we know we have to solve by factoring.
So it's going to be y and y.
Y and y. Now this time my signs are a little trickier.
Yep, it's going to be negative. Right.
It's going to be 1 negative and
1 positive.
1 positive. because look at the end sign. The end is a negative,
Yeah.
so I have to be able to say what times what gives me a negative. So I have to have a negative times a positive to get a negative. If I've got two negatives, it gives me a positive. So when the end is a negative, then I've got one of each sign. So this time when I fill in my factors of 30, because these are opposites, I have to subtract to get that middle number. What is the middle number there? How many y's do you got?
One Y.
Just one, right. So I want the factors of 30 that when I plug them in, I get a 1y. So what are your factors of 30?
6 times 5.
6 times 5. Now if I want to get a plus y, the bigger number has to go by the plus sign, right? So I have a 6 and a 5. So that if I take 6 minus 5, I get 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
6 minus 5 is 1. So now I've got my two factors. Either the y minus 5 is going to equal 0 or the y plus 6 is going to equal 0. So to solve those, what would we do?
You're going to take your negative 5 and divide it by
And do what?
positive 5.
What am I going to do with my negative 5?
You're going to bring it over to 0,
And make it,
a positive 5.
so y equals 5, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other one I'm going to
It's going to be a negative 6.
get a negative 6. So y equals negative 6. So y is equal to 5 or negative 6.